Well, hello YouTube. From the the tropical north, back in Victoria. Here we are. We're back for our Cape York debrief, and bit of a camp. I'm having a long weekend away up on the Kiewa River in the heart of the Kiewa Valley, near Debrief. It was meant to be a sunny weekend. We've just been hit with that. Gave us a little bit of rain, but we have rain-proofed things for the most part. I'll spin this around. We've had to add on add-ons of add-ons. There's hoochie cord, there's bloody codline, there's string and ropes and shit going everywhere. But for the most part, we are dry. There is another front coming through, so we're just going to do a bit of a recap on this trip, and in this video anyway, recap how that went, going to the Cape and back. I didn't mention the video, I don't think, but I did end up putting the air sock on the snorkel there for the trip home, just because I'd paid $40 for it, so I may as well use it. And it's interesting just on the trip home itself, you know, travelling, how much bugs and stuff get on your front of your car and that, but just the bugs that haven't gone into the snorkel. There was pollen from poplar trees and that there as well, but it's that stopped all that going through. I have taken the air cleaner out and gave a bit of a check, and there's no issue there. We are still keeping some minute traces of the red dirt. It's had some rain on it since we got back, but there is still some signs it's been to the Cape, but mainly the around the seals and that sort of stuff under the tent. But that red dirt will run out of that back tailgate for years to come. I've had it before. But yeah, she's still just showing the signs of a Cape trip. Alright, we'll go over the figures quickly, just because I know some of you wanted to know. Total 7,460 kilometres round trip, which is 174 k's less than I planned to do with the whole planning thing. Go back, have a look at that, the second prep video. Because of that, we used 863 litres of fuel. It's 2 litres less than I'd estimated when I'd done that whole planning, so that's obviously we're using a little bit more fuel at times than we'd expected, just because we did 174 k's less. But yeah, 863 litres of fuel, which turned out to be $1,701, which is $200 more than expected. Like, the main reason for that, originally I was going to refuel at Cowan, go up, do the tip, and then come back down to Cowan, where I ended up getting fuel in Bamaga, where it was $2.65 a litre. Which is $1.40 dearer than Cowan, which is why we paid an extra $200 there. Done in 12 days. It could have been 11. By the time I spent the afternoon and overnight in Townsville for the 2 nights, I could have done it quicker. I should have done it longer. Yep, everyone was telling me you're going too quick, you're doing it too quick. The battery problem was the main reason we ended up doing it so quick. Seeing the sights, in hindsight, probably once we done the tip, I should have gone across to Ponsand Bay and just got a paid site there for the night, the powered site that I could plug in and charge up, and that would have been sorted. You could do it quicker. I think my longest day was 8.5, 9 hours. If you really want to rock it along, and I was only putting along, I wasn't doing the 110 speed limit out in the guts either, but yeah, I'm 300 k's north of Melbourne, so a 12-day trip from Melbourne is more than achievable. if you just hit the road, stop and take some photos, some video of the things you want to see, and keep on trucking. Food, I packed 3 packs of wraps. I only used one. I only used 4 bits of fish. I had about 12. I had 12 of the chicken strips. I had 2 bags of chips and wedges. Basically, all the frozen food come home except for the 4 bits of fish we had at Somerset Bay and the 2 chicken strips we had in a wrap at McCrossan Campground. So I think for the most part, because I was just grabbing a sandwich at a survey when I was getting fuel for lunch, I didn't have brekkie the entire time, and getting to camp at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night or whatever it was, just making a wrap, and that was it for dinner. Was all we really did. Now for some of the bad bits. Obviously power was probably one of the biggest bad bits of the whole trip. Now I know this car's fitted with a smart alternator, and that's probably why there was only about 85 watts getting to the power pack to charge. It's got a built-in DC charger, so I was expecting that to ramp up and actually charge it more than it was, but obviously that's not the case. Just having, and I nearly pulled the trigger on it yesterday when I was in at King's getting the big mat for the awning of the caravan. With their Black Friday sales, they had like the 200 watt solar panels were only $99, and the roof racks to hold them onto the tent were 42 each. So 80 for 180 bucks. I could have had 200 watt solar on the roof, and yeah, we could have fixed that problem straight away, but I didn't, because I've got the 360 watt folding panel here that is perfect for camping when you are spending time in a spot. It's no good when you're driving around, but it's going to do the job now and over Christmas. It's keeping up power now, so that's totally fine. Also alluded to on the trip, there was a couple of issues with this that I found out just weeks before going away. The first one, for some reason I was 100% certain it had aftermarket suspension on it. I'm sure I'd been under it and seen the sticker, seen the different coloured shocks, and assumed it had aftermarket suspension, which meant it's got 195,000 Ks on it now, but assuming even if that suspension had been taken out on new and second-hand stuff had gone in, I thought it'd be good to go. But getting under it to do diff breathers the weekend before I left, no, there's Holden stickers still on the suspension, on the shocks for this thing. I knew towing that van, to me, I had to Lighton Ridge in the middle of the year, just how rooted the rear suspension was. We bottomed out a few times on some real bad sections of road. We didn't have the van going up. We were right. We had 10 kilos spare on our GVM. This thing's rated to 2,900 kilos, 2.9 tonne. We're at 2890. That's with me in it as well. So we were right up there. We didn't eat any of the freezer food. Every time we used water, we resupplied at a servo or something, or a creek. So that weight was constantly there. There was nothing. The only variable was when I was using fuel, and even then, like as I said in the video, like the most we used was 85 litres going from Roma down to Gilgandra. So that variable, and that's only 70 kilos, so we're still right up there on the weight. So essentially, I went up and done Cape York in the corrugations with absolutely rooted suspension, rooted stock suspension, and it's fine. You got to drive to the conditions. Just because you're out in the middle of nowhere, just because you're driving long Ks, doesn't mean you have to sit on 110, 130, 140 just to get there. Yes, it's going to take time. As I said in the video, you're driving 300 Ks between towns. Australia is quite vast. It's going to take you time. It's going to take you a while to do it. Just sit back, put some tunes on and drive to the conditions. I think the highest, I got about 80 on the corrugations. A lot of it was 60, 65, 70. But now we're back. That needs to be fixed. We're going to put some heavier suspension in the rear just to cope with the van. We also, the way it was going to work out, I changed the oil out before I left, but it is now 1,000 k's overdue for its service, which 195's only oil, a couple oils and that. I'm going to get them to do the fuel filters when it goes in, only because it's still on the service book. Once it gets to 200,000 k's, I'll do all the servicing myself. But that suspension, stuffed. The second thing, and probably the more important thing that I was worried about, that I found when I was underneath it doing the timing belt, your little selector arm for high, low and low fall, where it goes in the side of the box, seemed to be weeping. The seal there going to the gearbox now, it's not bad enough to be leaving a drop or anything on the ground. It just was a bit of a weep. But since you're going up and you're going to be using that dial and putting it in and out of four-wheel drive a lot of times, I was worried, one, that seal could let go and start dumping gearbox oil out in the ground, or transfer case oil on the ground, or two, all the dust from the corrugations and that would force its way in and maybe stop the ability to use four-wheel drive. It didn't. I've been under it since I got back and it's still just a bit of a weep. I'm going to chalk that up to the same reason the selectors stop working in these things. They've only got a windscreen wiper motor mounted on the box. Your Rangers, your Mitsubishis, your BT50s, all very similar. They've got a wiper motor on top of the gearbox. When you turn that dial, it activates the wiper motor on it. It pushes a rod to select your high-low gears and that. If you don't use all that all the time, water, dust, traffic, all gets in there and seizes them or gums them up. If that's shaft's going through the seal and it's not spinning occasionally, that seal's going to get stuck or get seated in one spot, and the more you use it, the more it's probably going to chew it out. Mechanics. I'm not a mechanic. Do your own research. But yeah, they are the main two things that were wrong with this car before I left, and they still done. They've done the 7,400 Ks, or whatever it ended up being in the end. Again, you don't have to spend all years. Toe points, I never put toe points on it. I knew it'd be dry up there. There wasn't any mud we come across. I was winching out of sand. Now, it has been brought to my attention, thanks Clint, since getting back, where we got stuck in the sand at Cockatoo Creek. If I'd let me pressure out of my tyres, I probably would have climbed out of there. I was just seeing the guts bottomed out on the middle of that sand island in the middle of the track. So I was just assuming I was bottoming out and it wasn't a traction issue. Like I said it when we were on the beach up there, I haven't done a lot of sand driving. I stay away from it, I stay away from that, and stay away from mud. Yeah, but from someone that does do sand driving, Clint, you're right, that probably would have just walked out of there. Hot rod. No problem, there's a spot, we're right next to the highway. Another milk truck. Another thing a lot of people talk about there is the corrugations, and they are relentless. I remember before I went on one of the local Facebook groups up there just for road conditions, that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, the graders are working, the graders doing some work up there and smoothing some sections out. That's a 5, maybe 10 kilometre section they're doing out of 700-800 kilometres of dirt. yes, it's good to get a smooth section where they've just graded, but as soon as you get to where they've stopped, it's it's straight back into the again. So, as I said before, go up there, even if the grader's up there, the busy season, the off season, just be prepared. It's going to be rough the majority of the way up there. As I said before, solar, the other issue I had, even if I did have the solar on the roof, was just this overcast the entire time, and that's the issue of going up that time of year. I understood that, and also that time of year you're going to want to be camped under a tree or in the shade, so you're not going to want to be out in the sun just so your panels can hit that gorgeous sunlight. One of the other issues, obviously, we talked about on the trip. I've been back for a month. This still hasn't been fixed yet. It goes to show how often I use the UHF, how often I drive it. It's probably going to stay that. Next video you'll see it'll probably be the same. As I said, I do have another one of these aerials at home, but we're just going to have the same issue with it vibrating on this bull bar, just the way it's mounted. So I'm going to get a bracket. We're going to try and put it up at the corner of the bonnet there, where the bonnet hinge is, just to get rid of the vibrations, because I could fix it and it'll probably do exactly the same thing with what we're going to be planning to do next year. The other problem I had with the car, Mount Molly, when we stayed at Mary's Bridge, Mary's Creek Bridge there, when I went to turn it off, I don't know if it's because I was a bit quick on the ignition and turned it off as I was going up to Select Park, whatever it was, we suddenly got a fuel filter water warning light on the dashboard, which flicked on for about 2 seconds as I was turning the key off. So I don't know why that would come on when I was going to park, but we come up with a warning there was water in the fuel filter, which is not something you want, especially when you've put an aftermarket fuel filter in. So if it's getting water past that into the stock fuel filters, because that's a pre-filter. I hope it's a pre-filter. It was meant to be. Yeah, that wasn't going to be good news. Anyway, I never mentioned it. We started the car that morning. We were in a hurry to get out of there because of the rain, obviously, and started the car. No warnings whatsoever. I've got an OB2, OBD2, whatever they call them, plugged into the computer. So I checked my phone. No warnings, no codes, nothing was showing. So I persisted to drive, keep on driving. Now, we're getting fuel at Mount Molly, that 20k down the road anyway. And when I was there at the mobile, I got a tub of Fuel Doctor and put in there when we got fuel, just as a precaution. And then, as I said, the longest fuel, that 85 litres from Roma down to Gilgandra, it would have had 20 litres left in the tank, 25 litres left in the tank. So getting down to nearly empty, it's a very long tank, so it would have only been that probably the whole way along it. And we never got any warning, nothing else since. So as I said before, when it goes in for its service, I'll be getting them to do the 2 filters. I was just going to take the pre-filter off and just have a bit of a look into it, but since we didn't get the warning from the car, I thought it's probably not worth it. We were on that time scale to get home. I didn't want to be stopping, getting covered in diesel and that sort of thing. We're very lucky. That could have gone a lot worse. If we'd started the car in the morning and that warning had come up, we probably would have spent the day at Mount Molly, because the ARB tank that's in it doesn't have any drain or nothing on it. So if you want to drain that tank, you've got to take the whole thing out. Also, we'd got fuel at Cohen on the way up. Bamaga, it was a pretty busy service station. Fuel's trucked up there. The rains hadn't started yet, so assuming there was no fuel in the Bowsers there, and then we refueled in Cohen again on the way home. Well, we got back to Cohen and got fuel, and there was no issues before then, so I haven't heard. I know Lakeland there was some reports of bad fuel coming out of there, but it didn't seem didn't seem to be an issue, but until then, when I turned that key off. Lastly on the car, the other issue we had, definitely noticeable when we got to the Jardine Ferry. This has still got the stock roof rails on it. The roof rack previously was bolted to it. I modified the roof rack, it's still bolted to it. It's not making the noise now, but we're starting to get just a little creaky noises of it moving around a little bit. It was doing it before when I had the roof rack on it, and it was doing it then. On the corrugations, it seemed fine, maybe because the noise was coming from everywhere else, but the problem with these wagons, my Subaru's the same. I'm sure the Everest, the MUX would be the same because it's the same body. The problem with these is those roof rails are mounted and bolted from underneath the roof through into the roof rail. So the only way you can get to them to take them off or tighten them is to drop the whole hood lining out, the roof lining out. And that's a fun job. It's something I'm going to have to do just because of how loose. Mainly, I could leave it, but if it's loose enough to be making a noise, it's probably going to start letting water down underneath those rails and through the holes into the roof, and then you're going to have a wrecked head lining anyway. So I'm going to try and wait and get it till winter so I can just park it in the shed, take the roof lining out, and or drop it at least, and then take those rails off and actually get a proper roof rack made that mounts to the roof. It can bolt down from the top and be done properly. But yeah, just the flexing, the constant flexing, the corrugations. By the time we finished the OTT and got back out on the Bamaga Road to the ferry, it was definitely noticeable. Where's your belly clip, hey? Where's your belly clip? Hey, Roxy, hey? You didn't get to go on the trip, did you? Hey? As it starts to rain, let's talk about the good bits, shall we? Just the trip itself, getting away. This beautiful country we have, getting out, driving across, seeing the sunrises on the outback flats, the escarpment country at Rolleston and Roma, and in Claremont, up through there, all the hills, the vast distances of the Cape, the red dust, that oxidised red dirt. You didn't get to see it, did you? Yeah, next time, Gadget. Now we know where the puppy-friendly spots are and where they're not. You can just stay in the car. Hey? Oh, you sook. Yeah, the beaches. When you compare tropical North Queensland beaches to what we got down here in Victoria, it's night and day. Again, a shame that we couldn't get some sunshine on the beaches. But in saying that too, then you'd want to go in for a swim and deal with crocs and stingers and all that sort of stuff. I should have thrown in I got a telescopic fishing filter, pool filter pole at home I used for a TV antenna on my bus. I should have strapped that to the roof too, just for knocking coconuts down. But when I got back, because I couldn't get any coconuts, and I'd got a dozen mangoes off my mate's tree in Townsville. Googling it, I couldn't bring any of that stuff back, so that got thrown out before I crossed the Queensland border. We got back, we went into the local fruit market. We got a couple of drinking coconuts. We got some mangoes. It's been a long time since I've eaten coconut. that was a weird thing. I don't know how we would have gone surviving off that up there, but and mangoes. Well, yeah, there's probably a reason I don't have any juice or anything that's got mango in it. But yeah, just getting out, seeing it all. There's been conversations, Kylie, talked to you about it, ticking it off the bucket list, but for $2,000 and 2 weeks off work, it doesn't need to be a bucket list item. There's no reason why you can't just do that once a year, once every 6 months. Yeah, we'll get to whether or not I will do it again at the end of the video. Oh, heavy rain. So one thing too, the baffling case of the Zodiac, the grey nomads and tourists storming the beaches of the tip. Done some research, asked some questions, and it appears a lot of small cruise ships that do drop anchor on the other side of York Island there and Zodiac Inn. Not being able to identify the ship's name on the Zodiacs because I wasn't close enough. We can't really know who it was, but by the sounds of it, a lot of people have done that in the past. They'd had cruise ships anchor there and then get into boats and go in and do a beach landing and visit the tip that way, which, if I'd done it again, would probably be the way to do it. Leave the four-wheel drive at home or park at Cairns and jump on a boat, go up the coast, go around and see the tip that way. But dare I say, it'd probably be cheaper to do as well. That's just weird. I went back and checked the footage of the drone when I got there and went for a fly, and yeah, you can't see anything behind the island, so don't know. But that's the more than likely cause was there was a cruise ship anchored there or out of the field of view somewhere, and that's how they come in. We'll finish out on some things to know. The Jardine Ferry ticket, it's probably going to change by next year. 160. I think we went through all the other prices when we were there. I wasn't told any different, but everyone, obviously you get a sticker, you stick it to the inside or the outside windscreen of the car, which everyone had done. I never done that. I just sat it in behind the windscreen on the dash for the entire time I was there and never pulled up on it. The reason I say this or bring this up is it's quite known. If you stop at Cohen, stop at Musgrave Roadhouse, stop anywhere back down the PDR, there are some people that will try and peel those stickers off just so they don't have to pay it across the ferry. I see plenty of posts on it, people saying they'd come back out to their car at Musgrave or somewhere and the sticker's gone. Obviously the kids, everyone's gone inside to get something to eat, get something to drink and that, and left the car outside thinking it's locked. What's the worst can happen? And that's what's happened now. I don't think there's not much of an expiry date on the stickers itself, so my sticker now I could probably go back up there in May maybe and reuse it again. They do change them out, but yeah, be careful with your stickers and what you do with them. That's the main reason I put it there. One, I didn't want it stuck to the windscreen when I got home or until it faded off and fell off. Two, I wanted to be able to save it as a souvenir. and free. Even now, I've got that on the dashboard still. I've got the Cape York corrugation sign on the dashboard. It's still red and that thing, so just you look at it and go, wow, he's been up to Cape York. Just better than any photo, I think, except for the sign. So mention the $160 Jardine Ferry. I bring it up. I didn't realise until going through and editing the tip video when I had the satellite Google Earth looking at the Jardine River, where the old crossing used to be. Being able to see wheel tracks in the sand going across there, people are still risking their lives in that croc water instead of paying the $160. Now, if you've got Queensland licence plates, yeah, you're probably going to be all right. You're not going to be noticed up there. But if you've got Victoria and New South and you're up the top without that sticker, maybe you get pulled over. It's just, it depends what time of year you go up there. I've never seen any law, no rangers, nothing the entire time up there. No car searches, nothing was done at the ferry. No checks for alcohol, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I just found it interesting that people are still using that Jardine River crossing at the top of the telegraph track to get across into the tip itself. As you saw when we walked down to the river from that camping area, there's no bollards, there's no concrete blocks, they haven't felled some trees over to stop people getting past. You got your entrance and departure on either side, and they're still there, and you can still drive them. So, and even looking, put up there, the bottom section of Jardine there, wouldn't be too bad. It's sandy, but it's just that last little 10-20 metres where it obviously looks deep and you're going through those lilies to get to the other bank. That would be the place we'd be puckering up. Just waiting for a croc to come swimming through the door at you, the window. Crazy for $160. You're still going to risk your life like that. So that $160 for the ferry, it does pay. It pays for your right to travel into the tip, pays for your right to camp. Don't go up there like I did, thinking you'd be able to just go up there and camp anywhere. Like we talk about in the video, you've seen the video, once you get into that rainforest stuff, or a lot of the places, if you can get off the side of the road, you can only get off 20-30 metres and the trees are all red from the dust. All you're doing is parking in a dust bowl. There are plenty of places to camp up there, but it's just a matter of finding them, the right weather conditions. Obviously, that whole 5 mates four-wheel drive below Somerset Beach anyway, where we got stuck in the sand dunes. All along there would be fantastic if it wasn't windy, but you are on the east coast and getting those easterly winds, so it's just something you have to cross your fingers or go for the caravan parks. Go and stay with more of your kind and just go out for day trips, go out sightseeing that way. Good day to be taking your pride and joy out for a drive. Hot rod. Might need a bit of a tune. I allude to earlier, and I think I've mentioned in the video, it's in one of the videos itself too. Don't sit there and think you need to spend thousands of dollars building up the ultimate tour, the ultimate four-wheel drive to go and do a trip like that. It's just, one, it's not needed, and two, you're going to go to all that effort, go and do it, then it's going to come back and sit in the shed and maybe do some camping down the creek like this or whatever else, and just be a complete waste of money when you don't need that. 12-year-old, about to go 13-year-old, Colorado 7, dirty old Holden, stuffed suspension, ground clearance issues, and we've still done some of it. The ground clearance issues is what stopped us from doing Frenchman's Track, just because of the boulders at the Wentlock River there, but some Under Armour would have fixed that problem straight away, and that's probably going to be cheaper than doing a suspension, doing a lift. You don't have to worry about putting stress on your CVs and that, putting all the geometrics out of line, out of alignment, and the next minute you're taking spare CVs and all that sort of stuff. It's not worth it. We paid for the winch, we fitted the winch, we used the winch, but in hindsight, just having a second vehicle and a decent snatch strap or kinetic rope would have alleviated any reason to have a winch. A lot of the bad spots, Gunshot Creek, coming out of Gunshot, all that sort of stuff, a 30-metre kinetic rope and 2 vehicles, you'd be fine. And that way you wouldn't need a second battery to run the winch as well, or just run the winch off your main battery, I suppose, but if you needed to. We talked earlier about doing the trip too quick. I even mentioned when we're going up, we're passing stuff, I was taking note of stuff, jotting down things of interest along the way I'd seen but didn't have a chance to stop at, drove straight past, that sort of thing. I see people saying they're going to take 6 weeks, 7 weeks to go and do it just so they can see everything. Well, then why is there any reason to go back? I've got a lot of stuff noted down where there are marks, pins on maps, that sort of stuff. As soon as we got back, like I mentioned this on the return trip, the desire to get up there and do the Daintree and the rainforests and that, Cooktown, all that sort of stuff, and Battle Camp. As soon as I got back, I started planning and knowing where a lot of spots, the campground below Virgin Rock at Springshaw, that's going to be a perfect spot to take the van and camp there. McCrossan Campground, definitely tow the van, park there, camp there the night. I've got now mental note and video, photo references and notes of spots to camp all the way up there and things to do. I've got stuff already organised and planned to do on another trip. If I'd taken 4 weeks and done all that on the way up, there'd be no desire to go up next year and do all this extra stuff. So don't feel like you have to see and do everything. Make note, if you're travelling for a certain amount of time during the day and you've only got time to stop at 1 or 2 things, stop at those 1 or 2 things and then make notes of the other stuff you missed. Give yourself a reason to go again is the main thing to bring out of all this. Because if you go and see it all in one trip, especially up there, yes, Mini Mook, yes, the old telly track, a lot of that stuff will change. It'll be completely different next year after the wet, once all that water pumps through there. But the PDR, everything between here and Lakeland, it's going to be the same no matter what time when you go up there again. That sort of stuff doesn't change. It's green, it's brown, it's burnt, it's green. That's the only difference. And lastly, one of the big things that's always talked about is fuel. Can I get fuel here? Can I get fuel there? how far can I get before I need fuel again? How far apart are servos? There'll be a service station every 200. If you can go 200 k's without needing to refuel, you'll be right. Now, yes, we've got the bigger long-range tank in the vehicle. The primary reason for that was to skip some of the fuel stations, some of the fuel stops that had more expensive fuel. In saying that, doing a some rough figures, the $1,200 I paid to put that long-range tank into that car, that still hasn't paid for itself by doing that trip, and that's that's the sort of trip something like that needs to pay for itself if you are going to do that. Saving yourself $50 here and $30 there by going from a Cohen where it's $2.45 to Archer River where it's $2.85. You're only paying $20, $30, $40 more. So, and then you're carrying all that extra weight as well. If you're doing more remote stuff, then yeah, okay, maybe it'll pay for itself. But yeah, I was in no risk of ever running out of fuel. I was able to skip the more expensive places. Again, doing your research before you leave, see what the prices of fuel is. A lot of it up there, it doesn't change. It just stays at the same price for the majority of the year. Obviously, the busier times, the June, July, school holidays and that, you're going to probably find at its peak. But yeah, would I do it again? Probably not. But again, we're going to talk about at the end of the video what's planned for next year, and that's probably going to be where the long range tank pays for itself, or pays off anyway. Just on fuel lastly too, I forgot to mention the longest stretch I found was that long bit between between Charters Towers and Claremont. You've got Bellardo Crossing in the middle, a little roadhouse that you can't really depend to have fuel or to be open when you're there. So in saying that, that's a 400k stretch between Charters Towers and Claremont that you've only got the one fuel stop, the one servo in between that stretch of country. So if you are coming up from the south and going up through the guts, just be mindful that you've got that 400k stretch in the middle there, and being able to get through that with one tank of fuel. Where's it, Rox? That's the camera. Camera's up there. So the million dollar question. Probably not. I'll just keep the $1 million and I'll answer the question. What are you doing? You can't hop up. The camera's up there. Look. See? Camera. You're on the camera. Look. You don't like cameras, so run away. Would I go again? Before we answer this, we're going to just put some stuff up here now. Yes, everyone wants to go up there and have a look do the tip, get your photo at the sign and all that sort of stuff, but one of the quirky little things I really wanted to do when I was up there was to wander around the Pajinka Wilderness Resort, the abandoned wilderness resort that had been set up, built, was used, just going off comments, reviews, was handed over to the traditional owners and then went downhill, and within 2 years was shut down and abandoned, and obviously regrown and everything else. And I love that sort of abandoned stuff, the old, even though it's not old, but just the jungle taking it back. There's just something very, very Jurassic Park, The Lost World, that sort of thing with it, which I was happy to go for a walk around and film this sort of stuff. Lucky I did, not knowing that a mere 2 weeks after I left, this happened. Now, there hasn't been a lot of photos, a lot of news on it. It's been demolished. I was asking the questions if someone had lit it on fire, and that's why it had been demolished, because it looks like tin, that sort of stuff there, looks like it's been burnt, and that's why they've bulldozed it, because someone's lit a match and it's gone through and burnt the whole area. It's possible the traditional owner's done a burn in the area and it got burnt down in the meantime. With the amount of rain they were getting up there when I was leaving, I'm surprised they didn't get anything to burn in the first place. But as it stands at the moment, and this is the end of November 2025, temp fence has been put across the road just before the resort. The road to the tip has been blocked off. There's a large car park area that's been made there below the resort, and now, for the time being anyway, and we all know how things come in, they're never taken away, there is a bus that is parked at the car park, and only that bus is allowed to go from the car park to the tip. I see a lot of, I can't comment because I'm not a local, but a lot of people are commenting the same thing that happened at McCrossan Gorge. You got to take, there's a bus there that you got to pay for to go from the visitor centre up to the main gorge itself. Unfortunately, the louder voices are going to be the negative voices saying it's paid for, you got to go and do that at McCrossan Gorge. The research I done, you can still walk up there to the gorge. It's just there's a bus service there, which obviously is going to be for older people, families, so you don't have to walk the 2-3 kilometres from where the main car park is up to the gorge itself, because you can't drive there. Where that wilderness resort was, to the car park and to the tips, only about 200 metres, 300 metres max, plus the 800 metres, and then you've got to walk up to the tip itself. So it's not overly further, but we're parked here on this beautiful beach. If it was high tide, that would have been stunning to camp there. But now you're not even going to be able to take your video to there, so it's a shame. I don't want to sound racist, but just some of the Aboriginal communities are really making people be very vocal on some of the decisions they're making. I understand they're the owners of the land, that sort of stuff, but what's happened has happened. We're here now, we want to experience Australia as well, and it's just getting very hard in a lot of places now to do it. Again, the vocal ones are saying, well, yep, the buses are going to be in there now, that's the only way to get to the Cape. You're going to have to pay to do that now, whether that's going to be payment on top of the $160 or whether it's going to be included in the ferry price. No one knows, no one's got answers. Doing it now in the off season when there's less traffic, it might only be temporary. Someone commented they were talking to a ranger a little while ago, and there's been plans in place to actually put a boardwalk from that main car park around the bottom of the rocks, between the rocks and the beach, and have an actual boardwalk going around to the tip and back, so you're not going up over the hill, the 800 metres and down, risking injury if you're not able, I'll say. Apparently that's been trying to happen for a year or two now. Their biggest problem they're having with that is, again, those rocks being sacred. So they don't want people to drill into them to anchor the walkway to the rocks, yet people are allowed to walk up over the rocks to get to the tip. Sometimes it just does not make sense. And you just wonder what is going on at times. So with all that being said, again, the next 6 to 12 months will be interesting to see what happens there. Before I'd heard about that, would I ever go back up there? Yeah, probably. I joked to myself, I don't think I said it on camera on the way back, I'm not coming back up here until it's tarred all the way up. That's not necessarily true. I was just over the corrugations by that time. I probably wouldn't tow the van. I wouldn't tow the van up there, not with the corrugations. I just wouldn't want to do that to my van. I wouldn't want to spend $80,000 on a big hybrid dual axle thing and tow it up there and do damage to it. Granted, a lot of people do it. They don't do damage. It's just I can't have nice things, and if I tried to tow that up there, I can guarantee I'd get to the ferry or something, open the doors, and every cupboard would be on the ground. There'd be just shit falling apart everywhere. Yeah, so one day in the future, yep. Would it be with this? Maybe not. Don't know. I'm sort of still thinking and looking for a forever vehicle, tow vehicle for the van, or something I can go away for overnight adventures as well. Once I read what had happened up there, if that abandoned resort, and the potential of a bus coming in and having to pay extra or whatever just to get to the tip, it did sort of turn me off wanting to go back. Well, that's what they want to do, then that's one price of admission they're not going to get, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. At this stage, there is no desire, no ambition to go back to the top of Australia. I've done it, I've been there. As I said before, the next big thing I want to do it next year, but it probably won't be next year, but a year after. We'll see. We've had a big year. We've done the Flinders for Easter. We've done Lighton Ridge in the middle of the year, and then ended out the year with Cape York. That's a lot of people would only do one of those in a year, but we've done all three, which I'm very grateful being able to do, and being very grateful getting out and seeing a lot of this country. I'd be more grateful if we got more views for the videos, but that's just YouTube. But yeah, the next big multi-day trip, multi-week trip that I want to do, hopefully next year, is to put that on the back up the guts, up to Townsville, up to Cairns, up to probably Wonga Beach, like we're originally going to do. Leave that the caravan park for a couple of days, go up, do Creb, Daintree, do a loop around there, Cooktown, maybe stay at Ellen Beach or Endeavour Falls Caravan Park, or even Endeavour River there somewhere. Do all that, come back down, and then come back down the coast. So that's, if you want to say that's the next bucket list item, that's the next bucket list item. But we've got more things to do between now and then. Now, again, I think I mentioned in one of the videos, when I was up in the army at Townsville there for a couple of years, we went up and done a training exercise with the Ramey crew in the Rovers, and I think we took one Unimog, just recovery. We went and done the Creb track, and that's one reason I wanted to do it again, because I haven't done it since 2004. I've got no photos, I've got very little memory of it, and a vague memory of going to the Lions Den Hotel and carving out name, write our name on the wall. I'd love to go back there and find that, even though they've stopped people writing their names on the wall, but the names are still there. But living there for that long, doing that, the only other thing, I flew to Weipa when the old man was up there fishing, ocean fishing, pig hunting, that sort of stuff. I flew to Weipa, spent 2 weeks there on leave and come back, and that's the only Cape York or outback stuff I'd done when I was there. Just a complete wasted, missed opportunity. And now we're here. We're at the foothills of the high country. Go back to season 1 when we done Blue Rag track. That, doing Falls Creek and going up Omeo Valley, Midder Valley for that New Year's ride 2 years ago. That's the only high country stuff I've really done, and it's just there. So we're going to get the suspension fixed. We're going to get some armour put under that, especially a transfer case and that. And we're going to explore the high country. Wanangata, Craig's Hut, I keep calling it Spooky Valley, Haunted Creek, Tom Grogan. There's going to be a hiking aspect for it, I think, because I really want to get up and see where the Murray starts. My whole life's been on the Murray here. Lived on the Murray, never been up to the start of the Murray, never been down to where it goes out in the ocean. So I want to do that. Get up there. The problem I've got, it's all one thing going up there forward driving in something that's got your swag or whatever else. When you go up forward driving and your home's in the back of it and on top of it, shit's going to get thrown around a bit. That, and I want to try and do it over a weekend, do it over 2 nights or something. So I don't know how much of it's going to be in this. I have been on Marketplace since I got back from Cape York. I'm trying to find a noble steed to throw some gear on and just cover a lot more of the high country in quicker time. That is not going very well at the moment. My Benelli is no good for the high country. It's no good for that sort of terrain. We are looking for a dual sport. I don't think a postie bike is going to be suitable for a lot of it. Plus there's going to be the fuel issues as well. Even though I've got bladders, it's just a lot of weight to carry. So that's where the long range tank in this is going to come into effect, being able to leave here, fuel up, go up to a weekend in the high country and at least be able to get back out to Bright, Corryong, Mansfield, get back to a major centre that's got a servo so I can get home. But that is what is coming up for 2026. We'll get out, we'll use the van a bit more. Obviously the rooftop tent's still on the top of this car. I've pulled it from Marketplace. Just going through it. Yes, this weekend's no good, but once we get to the Christmas, the 2 weeks I got off there, hopefully it's a bit warmer. Being able to put a kid up in there, another kid in the swag or whatever, rotate through, me and the missus in the caravan. It's going to be handy there, and it's going to stop me from overloading the roof rack by putting the water tank back up there and all the other shit I had on the roof beforehand. So that's there. Once it does get to probably Easter, it'll be the last time it'll be used. Once it starts cooling down, I mentioned when we done the review, you can remove the tent out of it. So I'm going to remove the tent out of it, and then that's just going to be a clamshell roof pod that I can put too much stuff and overweigh it, of course, but put a chair in it, put some tarps in it or whatever else, just put some light stuff, a mattress or whatever else, and just use the roof pod. And then once winter's over, I can just put the tent back there, put the tent back in it. It's not getting mouldy, it's not getting soggy. I did want to just put it up this weekend to let it air out a bit since it hasn't been up since I got back, but that's not going to happen today, so hopefully it hasn't got any water in there. But that is why that is still on the top, and we've pulled her off Marketplace. But yeah, that's our debrief from Cape York, the Cape York trek. Would have liked to get a few more views. Obviously, the gunshot done the best views out of everything, but that's what you get when you're a little fella. So have a happy 2025. Have a happy holidays, all that sort of stuff. However you celebrate it. Stay safe. Your family prefer you get there 5 minutes late than never turn up at all. It's going to be a nightmare at work the next couple of weeks, but. But anyway, I've been Brad. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, I'll be back in 2026 with some more budget adventures. See you guys.